Let's call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Batavia Public Library District for September 20th, 2016, and let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, can we get a roll call, please?
Blodgett? Here. Deichmann?
Here.
Henders?
Here.
Smith?
Here.
Sullivan?
Here.
Von Lunen?
Here.
Schuster? Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Item 4 is comments from the audience, and seeing none, we will move on to item 5, which is tonight's consent agenda, consisting of minutes from August 16th, expenditures from August of 2016, a policy on sick leave, and a policy on alcoholic beverages from our services committee agenda. Would any trustee like to remove any of those items for a separate vote? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
I so move.
Okay, moved by Blodgett and second by Smith. Let's do a roll call on that, please.
Blodgett?
Aye.
Deichmann?
Aye.
Henders?
Aye.
Smith?
Aye.
Sullivan?
Aye.
Von Lunen?
Aye.
Schuster? Aye.
Okay, our consent agenda is approved. And item 6 is our regular agenda. Any additions, deletions, anything like that? Nothing. Okay. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve our agenda.
I so move.
Okay, moved by Von Lunen.
Second.
And second by Schuster. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, our agenda is approved. Item 7 is financial reports, and we do have a report here in the packet. Joe, anything to highlight for us today?
I'll make 2 comments, one about the current fiscal year. It's 2 months. It is still considered unaudited, even though the auditors have been here, but we haven't made any entries in. And then the auditors were here last week for 2 days for their field work. Finished within the 2 days. Didn't uncover anything, at least at that point, significant. So should have a draft this week, and then the intent is to have a full report for the board for the October meeting.
And what audit firm are we using now?
Lauderman and, Lauterbach and Amen, sorry.
Okay.
Same one, this is the 3rd year, I think. Does that sound right?
Okay. I think maybe that's okay. All right. Questions about the budget document for Joe?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we can move on to item 8, President's Report. I only have one item from the past month. I was pleased to be at the library for a very interesting presentation maybe 2-ish weeks ago by the son of our trustee, Diane Blodgett, who was presenting about Japanese tea. I enjoyed both the presentation and the tea, of course, very much. So, yeah, that was very interesting. And I know a couple of us were there, but got a lot out of it, and was hoping to put that to good use. So I guess I'll move on to then item 9, good news or comments from the board. Anybody have anything to share this evening?
I was wondering, I wasn't able to make the presentation that Colonel Yaris made for the...
Of the September 11th, yeah.
How did that go?
It was very, very
Was
good.
it? We saw, he made a presentation to us at Rotary, and it was very engaging. I figured it was good. And I think the report I heard was that the school district liked it too.
He actually mentioned speaking at the school, and that being very gratifying, I think, to him, that he got so many questions from the students. But I think the interesting part was that we all hear a lot about the towers, but this was more about the Pentagon, and it was things you don't hear as much about.
So he had been at the school, a school in town here, like that same day or same week?
High
The high school, yeah.
Okay.
And that he gave three presentations at the high
I
school?
think so. I think did you want it in middle school or?
I don't know, you
Just
did two, I know you did two classes and maybe an assembly.
Right.
At the high school, so he had several hundred students, I think, that morning and midday. And then he came to our place that evening and we had 99 people there.
How many?
99.
He also indicated that, you know, he was impressed by the awareness that the students in Batavia had of that. And he said what he had found at times was when he talked about 9/11, somebody in the audience might say, "So what's this about 9/11?" And he would just kind of, he stopped in his tracks and wouldn't know how to react to it. Whereas the kids in Batavia showed an awareness of the situation. He felt was impressive.
The Rotary Club essentially sponsored him, brought him in for us, and so it was a very good day for him and I think for the community.
Okay. And he didn't have a connection to Batavia, did he?
Not at all.
Okay.
I think he lives up in Wisconsin. I've since learned from the mayor that there is someone who lives in Batavia who is also in the military and was stationed at the Pentagon that day, although I don't have the name. But, so there is someone who lives in Batavia that was from Batavia that was there that day, but we didn't know that in order to make that connection for the lieutenant colonel.
Okay. Any other trustee with anything to share tonight? Okay, item 10 is correspondence and communications. It doesn't look like we have anything this month. Okay. And we'll move on to item 11, director's report. We've got a memo in our packet from George. Anything to share with us?
Well, the usual suspects are included in the report, but I included two special reports as part of my report. One on the Pew research relating to public libraries that shows the public libraries still are very vital for communities in America, and that the age range is much younger than one might imagine, if you listen to the news media. So I thought that was interesting and worth sharing. And then I discovered, sort of inadvertently through a Facebook post actually, that I stumbled across an article called Saving the 78s that talked in more detail about the Barry Thorpe Batavia Public Library donation, which, to my surprise, was described by the director of the Archive of Contemporary Music as its first major donation of 78. So they since, after getting the $48,000 from us, I didn't include his entire blog post, but apparently their next donation of large size was 70,000. 78 from a private collector somewhere in America. And so they, the donation that we gave them really kicked off something big for them. And I think that article is very interesting, I think, about how they're approaching the preservation and dissemination of this. So I want to make sure I share those. So we haven't answered any questions about my report, if you have any.
Okay, questions for George? All right, we can move on to librarians' reports then. Joanne, welcome.
Thank you. Well, just a few things to highlight out of my report is our practicum student this summer, Samantha Tomlinson, completed her practicum about mid-August and then joined us as a part-time librarian. So she has become a member of our staff. And also you probably read in my report that longtime youth services assistant Carol Hallow retired the beginning of this month. So Carol is relaxing and enjoying just reading at home these days, and hopefully will become maybe a friend pretty soon. Is talking about joining the Friends group. So Carol was one of 3 of us who moved from the old building to this building. And had a lot of tenure and had been responsible for many things and had a lot of tasks on her plate. And so she gave us many good years of service, and so we wish her well and happy retirement. Leah and I are in the process of reviewing the job description, and we'll be posting that position, however it works out, very soon. So we'll be hiring for that position as well. And one other thing I wanted to draw to your attention, especially this week, now that we have BA, this month, since we have BATV here, is 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten. We launched that the beginning of the month. I told you about it at last month's board meeting. It's really for preschoolers who aren't yet, obviously, in kindergarten, and the idea is to make sure families are in the habit of reading to their children, and with the goal of trying to read at least 1,000 books to your preschooler before they hit kindergarten. Because studies show that the more they're read to, the better introduction to vocabulary and language they have, and the better skills they have by the time they reach kindergarten. So Kathleen Redmond, one of our youth services librarians, and I worked to put together a program. We used some per capita grant money to fund the program, and we launched it on September 9th. September 9th and 10th was the weekend of the big launch. So in less than 2 weeks, we have over 100 children signed up in the program. So we are very excited about that. We are pushing it in our story times. Our story times just began last week, so we're pushing it in our story times, and anyone who's coming in is encouraged to join. And we already have one family who came back and had filled up their first 2 bookmarks with 100 books read. So they were very excited about coming in for their first check-in for having read 100 books. I think they signed up the first day and they went home and really read.
10 books a day.
Luckily, those
Yeah.
books are.
Luckily, they're small and don't have a lot of words on them, so. But those are the things I wanted to highlight from my report. Yes?
Did you say last time also that it doesn't necessarily need to be 1,000 different books?
Absolutely. It can be, you can read The Very Hungry Caterpillar 550 times if you'd like to. But, we certainly we're certainly encouraging families to read a variety, because that's how the language develops, the different words and the different sounds and things like that. But they can count the same. If everybody has their favorite, they can read the favorite multiple times. Grandma and grandpas can read to them. It doesn't matter who's reading to the child. And even our story times. Miss Kathleen and all of our staff doing story times are, okay, make sure you count. If you're in 1,000 books, make sure you count the 3 books we did today in story time. And so they're keeping track of those as well. Thank you.
Okay. Joanne?
Yes.
One more question, if
Sure.
you don't mind. Can you tell me a little bit more about what this practicum process is? Is it a process, or am I describing it?
Practicum student, our practicum student from
Yeah.
Dominican.
Yeah.
So it is, she got coursework credit for doing it. Since Samantha had not worked in a public library before, in order to complete the Master in Library Science program with an emphasis in youth services, she had to do a practicum in a youth services department. So I worked with her advisor at Dominican University. We set up goals as to what she had to accomplish. We worked on tasks. So it was kind of like if I would have had a student teacher in a classroom. So we were basically teaching them how to be practical experience in a youth services
Like an
department.
internship?
Yeah, it kind of like an internship, yes.
It's unpaid.
Unpaid.
Okay.
And then the class credit for it.
Right, okay. Okay.
Very interesting.
Is
And
that something we regularly have here?
to my knowledge, is the first we've had
LTA level.
LTAs from
Library technical assistant level from College of DuPage, and
Right.
maybe one from Levancy when they had a program. This is the first, in my tenure, the first master's degree practicum I think we've had.
mine as well. The LTA program is a little different in that they do have to go from department to department to kind of get a feel for all the departments. A practicum student is focusing in one area. So they might have gone into adult services as a reference librarian. Samantha chose youth services. So they were very, I had to complete a report when she was done as well. And she, I guess, got a grade on her practicum experience. So it was very good. I thought it was very interesting. I would certainly encourage us to do it again. And Dominican was, I think, very pleased and with the experience as well, and would certainly keep us on their list of libraries to look at.
Okay, all right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Stacy, welcome.
Thanks. A few things I'd like to mention from my report. I'm going to center on a couple of things. Kathy, can we get these started with you? We have another new Lyceum lecture coming up just around the corner, it seems. Tuesday, November 1st, 7 o'clock. Pam Otto and Dave Soderstrom will be here to talk about ospreyways, a formerly endangered bird that's seen more and more around the Fox Valley. So we're looking forward to that lecture. I'm sending around 2 of our program series flyers. The Books Between Bites season got off to start last Thursday with a presentation about the Cubs. And we have a great season ahead, so that flyer is coming around. Pay special attention to our presentation coming up in May. We have Amy Dickinson from Ask Amy coming to talk about her book that will then be out. She has a forthcoming book that's due out in the spring. So we're looking forward to her presentation as well as the full season. It's going to be a really fun one. I also want to highlight, this was in my report, the Sundays on Stage series. Lee Blakely, one of the librarians in Adult Services, coordinates this series. It is fantastically popular. Attendance, just looking at the 7 programs that we offered from January through July, attendance ranged from 78 to 123 people. The first program that you see on the list there, the Neil Diamond presentation, I mentioned to her today that I was going to be talking about this at the meeting, and she said, if anyone's interested, tell them to sign up now. Because as of this afternoon, we had 120 people signed up.
And
so
the max is
140. So if you're at all interested, now is the time to register. We take registration for these events. We allow up to 140 people and regularly get north of 100 people in the room on a Sunday afternoon for these programs. Usually they're they're entertainment of some sort. Sometimes it's a musical performance, sometimes it's a historical reenactment, a person who's in costume portraying a historical figure, that sort of thing. So it's educational, entertainment, and wonderfully popular series that Lee has put together and really continues to find some remarkable programs. So if there are any questions, I'd be glad to field those.
Okay, questions for Stacy? All right.
I forgot to mention, the Batavia Public Library Foundation sponsors this wonderful Sundays on Stage series, and we're really grateful for their sponsorship.
Indeed, okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we can move on to item 12, which is committee reports. And the first is 12D, services. We did have a full agenda earlier this month. The sick leave policy change and the alcoholic beverage policy change were already voted on in our consent agenda this evening. So thank you for your support of those items. We also talked about the strategic plan, and I guess I'll just, by way of introduction, even though that's item 13, let those of you who weren't at the committee meeting know that we, I guess, took the input provided by the strategic planning teams who had met previously this summer and put together some ideas for us to react to, and those will be for your consideration on item 13. So I think thanks to those of you who participated in those teams, I really liked what came out of that, and I think that bodes well for some positive changes to the library for the coming fiscal year. And then we also talked about this ongoing transition from Link to Swan, and we have ordinance for your consideration tonight on that issue as well. So that was, any questions about Services Committee? Okay, so 12E is the Library Foundation. Kara, anything to report there?
We're still working on fundraising for the MAP project, looking for volunteers. We did have, over the summer, we had some people attend the farmer's market to kind of get the information out about what the MAP project is about, and to, again, get some volunteers. We have a new fundraising project that we're going to be exploring. It's the spelling bee. Adult spelling bee. That won't be until March though. So we have a committee who's going to be working on putting that together. That's it.
Okay. Any questions for Kara? Okay. 12F is the Friends of the Library. Tom, anything there?
The Friends are going to be meeting tomorrow. That'll be the first meeting after the summer break, so there's nothing to report at this time.
Okay. Okay, 12G is Link. It's soon meeting its demise. George, anything else to report there?
No, the main issue is on the agenda tonight.
Okay. All right, we will just move on to 12H, which is BATV. Kara, anything there?
Nothing really new to report.
Okay, all right. Okay, so item 13 is an action item related to the strategic plan. So I mentioned that those planning teams came up with some ideas. In our packet, we have a memo that includes, and I guess probably the easiest way to review these is at the top of page 2 in green are essentially the goals that the teams came up with, and then there's plenty of background on the subsequent pages here. So in review of these items in green here, does anyone have any questions or comments about these proposed goals for the coming year? Okay, so I guess with that, I can entertain a motion to approve these as our strategic plan for the year. Okay, moved by Blodgett and second by Smith. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, we're approved. Thank you. All right, item 14 then is an ordinance providing for the execution of an intergovernmental agreement which authorizes our membership in SWAN, SWAN. I guess maybe I'll turn it over to George to remind us the implication of this action.
This ordinance would authorize, would essentially accept the idea of the library becoming a member of SWAN and authorizing the president and secretary of this board to sign the intergovernmental agreement, which is the buff-colored pages, which is the action that is taken to join SWAN. And this, we would not be an active member for a couple of years. There's a lot of work to do between now and then, but this would be the official decision by the Batavia Public Library to become part of SWAN, and would ultimately lead by sometime after the mid-year 2018 to the dissolution of LINC. Some of the documents, the documents in gray, which everyone received as part of the services goodie packet, and I pulled out just a couple of the key sections, including cost comparisons and services through SWAN, and I think some nice information on related to that. But probably the other key bullets are on the back of page 2 of my report, where I talk about the reasons why I think this is an important move. I think the report is no longer sustainable in its current structure. And we have really only two options: to become a standalone library, which is not fiscally viable for us, or join another consortium. And Swan, we believe, is the best and most practical option for Batavia, both geographically and because of support services and the area served and the cost. And our cost will decrease as part of the migration. We'll actually be eligible for some grant funds from the Illinois State Library through Swan, which are not available to Link because Link was not affiliated with the library system. And the costs of migrating are anticipated to be covered by membership grant from Swan, which will be applied for as a group from the libraries and then moving to Swan. So we don't even have to fill out the paperwork, which is nice. So those, I think, you taken as a whole, I think this is a really positive move for us. We'll go from our patrons' perspective, our active users, and even our less active users will go from seeing, when they're searching for items in our catalog, their opportunity to find more of what they're looking for will increase dramatically with a database that goes from about 1.5 million items in the 8 libraries to somewhere in the vicinity of 10.5 million items in close to 100 libraries. And it may well reduce our interlibrary loan traffic through adult services. A book I recently requested on interlibrary loan came from the Swan Library. So if you're part of Swan, what a place to hold on it would just come automatically. So it's an interesting development, I think. But a lot of behind-the-scenes work between now and mid-year 2018. So especially on the technical services level and such, as our collection is tagged for this switch. But I think it's a very positive move for not only for the library, but for the library's patrons, who I think will benefit greatly from this.
George, the other group besides Link that's merging into Swan or possibly merging, are they?
They're called Magic, yeah.
Magic. Where are they located? Are they suburban too?
That includes Geneva, St. Charles, and Batavia at one time were part of Magic. So we actually left Magic to create Link. So that includes the libraries that were, many of the libraries that were part of the Page library system. So in our area, that includes Elburn, which is the Town and Country Library, Sugar Grove, and North Aurora, among others, Carroll Stream. So a lot of libraries that are very close to us will now be part of the mix as well.
Somewhere, I'm just trying very hard to find it, but I thought I had read where St. Charles was considering not joining Swan, and I was just wondering if you have a feel for why not.
It's uncertain now. They're having conversations about the pros and cons for them. I think each library's gone through a process like we have gone through, and I think I'm not privy to really what's going on inside, although I know that they've been having, the board has asked for various types of information to look at this. And, certainly we here in Batavia, given the historic relationship of the Tri-Cities, and especially the relationship of the libraries, as part of both the DuPage library system and as part of Link, hope that they would still be part of the consortium that we're in. And that's ultimately their decision.
If they become standalone, then there's no interlibrary.
We would have to, if they have something that our patrons wanted, we would have to request that through an interlibrary loan process that's managed by our Health Services Department. Their patrons would lose access to 10 million items. So that, I think their patrons would see the biggest impact of that, I think. In terms of cost, I don't know what the cost of changes would be for them.
It's on this one page, I mean, it is a
They're the only
reduction
ones that-
for them.
Well, if they didn't become part of
Oh,
the
I see,
consortium,
I see.
they would have to then have their own computers and servers and all that.
And I had another question. It said as part of SWAN, centralized cataloging is part of the service that they provide where Link didn't. What does that?
For libraries that do not have a well-developed technical services department, or libraries which for fiscal reasons can't afford to have a professional librarian in that process, there is the SWAN as a consortium does have a cataloging center that they manage. But libraries are allowed to be cataloging libraries, and which provides a certain speed of turnaround and quality of the process. So several libraries are cataloging libraries. I know that many of the Link libraries are interested in becoming cataloging libraries, and our technical services department has expressed to me that our manager has expressed that she believes that would be important for us. In fact, our manager, Carrie Halter, is actually chairing a committee with Rails now talking about cataloging standards. She's highly respected in our area and in the state. So I think she would, she and us, she and we as a library would have a lot to give, I think, to the consortium.
So George, I said it says here ebooks and Hoopla integration through eResource Central. So does that make more ebooks available for the patrons too?
Each library's electronic resources are only available to the individual library, no matter what consortium they're in.
Okay.
That's the nature of the electronic beast. So that won't change for us. Although we have increased our resources, we've put more of our collection budget resources toward Hoopla this year. So we're seeing, I think we're seeing an improvement, are we not, Stacy?
Yes.
So we were in dire straits where our patrons were finding that Hoopla was closed very early in the day or the week, and we've been able to open the door more for them. So.
Good, okay.
All right. Any other questions then about SWAN here? So I guess the vote we're being asked to take is, I guess, officially declaring our intention to join SWAN, even though it's not, doesn't become active until, is it July 1 of 2018?
The date's not specific, but I would say mid-year. Yeah.
Okay. And, okay, so that's that.
I so move.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Van Lunen, second by Schuster. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. SWAN, here we come. All right. Thank you.
Well put.
Well, I think really the financial win for us and the increase in resources is a pretty easy decision for us to make there. Okay, item 15 is future agenda items, and we have a memo in our packet here about some upcoming issues. Anything you want to
Well, the biggest thing probably is that effective today, election packets are available for those in our community. I'm speaking to the camera now, that are interested in running for this board. We have 5 positions up for election, and I know that we have some trustees that are not planning to run again. So we encourage interested parties to join the fund. And but those packets are available at our checkout desk now. And those of you that are up for re-election, I think we've offered you all packets at this point. So that's the only real highlight, I think.
Are you planning on sending out to those people that we interviewed in the open position?
The board asked me to do that at the time, and so now that the packets are available, we'll send them an email.
Just tell them it's available.
I think the letter that was sent out mentioned that as well.
Yeah. You could please make them aware of it, or remind them that we'd like them to consider it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then item 16 is next meetings and events, which you see here on the agenda. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Moved by Deitchman and second by Blodgett. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you.